Hi, my name is Asia, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to read a sewing pattern. Here's a sewing pattern from my video Sewing Patterns for Beginners. So this is the pattern packet. It has a front, a back, and then there's inside. So we're reading the outside first. And on the front, you're going to see a few key pieces of information. You're probably going to see the brand name. You're also going to see the style name, or like the style identification number. You're going to see the size and various styles that this pattern is for. The size is really important, especially when you're buying the pattern from the store. You want to make sure that you're getting the correct size. And so the size is going to be listed here. Okay, so this one is US 12 through 20. Those sizes are all in this packet, and obviously you're just going to cut out the size that you need. So this is the dress that this particular pattern is for, and you might see a picture of a model wearing the garment. And then you're also going to see a couple different variations of other styles that are in this pattern. Here you can see we have mostly the variations are in sleeve and in length. You can have, there's variations where, as you can see, she has the ruffle on the bottom like you see here, but this dress doesn't have the ruffle. Also, this dress does not have long sleeves, it has short sleeves. And these two are full length while these two are not. So all those different design variations are part of this sewing pattern. Different pattern companies are going to have different size charts. So if you want to find your specific size for this pattern, you want to look on the back. You'll have to know your measurements. Usually you'll have to just know your bust, waist, and hips, and those will be listed here. For example, my bust is 40, my waist is 34, and my hips are 44. So I'm probably going to want to go with size 20 for my pattern. Some other important information you're going to find on the back of the pattern. So you're going to see fabric suggestions. So this is going to give you some ideas of different types of fabric that you can use to create this garment. And B is specifically referring to this B style, which is this one on the front. And that has like a lace, it looks like, and like a scalloped lace edge. So they're going to give you some suggestions specifically for that style. You're also going to see notions, and this is going to tell you what different notions are needed for the pattern. So that's going to be things like zippers and elastic and things like that. So some of these things are optional, but some of them you're definitely going to need, like the elastic and the bias tape. Okay, you're also going to see interfacing. Interfacing is going to tell you for all 4 styles, you'll probably need half a yard of 20-inch to 25-inch interfacing. Now down here is where it tells you how much fabric you're going to need. This is really, really important because when you're buying your fabric, this is going to be the information you need to know how much fabric to get. Let's just look at one of them, for example. Say you want to make style A of the dress, and we decided that I'm size 20, so everything 20 is in this row. So I'm going to go style A and go over to size 20. Fabric comes on a roll at the store, either 45 inches or 60 inches wide. Fabrics like cotton, like quilting cotton, typically comes on a 45-inch roll, and most apparel fabrics will come on a 60-inch roll. So depending on either of those, you're going to choose either 4 1/4 yards of fabric or 3 5/8 yards. Okay, so that's how you'll figure that out for each style. And then the last piece of information you'll find back here is the finished garment measurements. So this is going to tell you how much the garment will measure at the end. So maybe like up here I mentioned my measurements fall between size 18 and size 20, and I'm trying to decide which size do I want to use. So I might look down at the finished garment measurements and I'll see that for the bust, it's actually 44 for size 18 and 46 for size 20. And then I can also see the back length. So it only gives a bust here, and I think because it's fitted in the bust and it's quite loose in the other areas. Okay, now we're going to look inside of the pattern. So you'll just open the pattern like this and take out the contents. And what you're going to find is some instructions and the actual pattern itself. So first, let's look at the instructions. You'll unfold it like this, essentially, and there's two pieces. So we'll look at the first page. So in this first page of instructions, there's a lot of information going on. I'm just going to fold this in half, and we'll start by looking at this top half, essentially. This is going to be a basic, you're most likely going to see like a basic introduction about the garments and the different styles, and it has pictures of the front and the back. Over here, you're going to see outlines of the pattern pieces that are part of the pieces you're going to cut out. And so it shows you all the pieces that are involved in this pattern and which pieces correlate to which styles. So if I've decided that I wanted to make dress C, then I want to look for all the style, like all the pieces that have C next to it. So this only has A, so I'm not going to need that. I'm not going to need piece number 5 for style C. So I can, not worry about that. And then I'll look here and find all the ones for style C. And those are the only pieces that I'm going to need to cut out. Okay, next, these are going to be just general directions, like it says here. And it also gives you some customer service information in case you need additional help. And it just tells you what some basic symbols that you're going to find in the pattern and what those symbols mean. And it's going to tell you how to make adjustments if necessary. And some tips for before cutting. So for double thickness, fold fabric with right sides together. For single thickness, place fabric right side up. So just some information like this. Some tips on how to mark the fabric. So these are all just tips to help you with your project. The bottom half, this is showing you how to lay your pieces out onto your fabric in the most efficient way. So if you're making dress A and you're using 45-inch width fabric, like we mentioned, it can be either 45 or 60. Then it shows you how to lay out all of your pieces in the most efficient way so that you can be able to cut every single piece out without wasting any fabric, and also making every piece fit. And so they show that for every style and for the different widths of fabric. Then on the back, we get started with sewing directions. So it's going to show you each step for sewing the garment, and it's going to have pictures on one side or illustrations on one side and written directions on the other side. And that's pretty much going to be the rest of this part. The second sheet that we took out is essentially going to be the same thing. It's just a continuation of the sewing directions. And you'll just follow these step by step until you finish the garment. And on the back here we have the same directions but in Spanish. This part here is going to be all the pattern pieces, and you'll fold it out and it's going to be quite large. I'll unfold it and show you what that's gonna look like. Okay, so this is essentially what the pattern's gonna look like when it's folded out. It's quite a large piece of paper, and there's actually gonna be multiple pieces of paper. So as you can see, this is one piece and this is the second piece, and sometimes they have even more than just two pieces. So we're gonna look closer at a specific pattern piece. This right here is a sleeve, and these are some details that you're gonna find on the pattern pieces themselves. Okay, so most importantly, first of all, you're gonna see just some basic information about the piece, the company, the style number, and the sizes, and the number on the specific piece. So in the beginning, we showed an instruction sheet. It listed each number by piece and which one you'll need for each style. So this is piece number 17, and it's the sleeve for style D. So this sleeve is specifically for style D, but it's letting you know that if you look on the front at style D, this is the sleeve that's used. It tells you how much to cut, so you want to cut two pieces of this. It's telling you how much hem is here. The instruction sheet lets you know that the typical seam allowance for simplicity patterns is 5/8 of an inch, and that's already included here, even though you can't see it. That's already part of the pattern. But here it's letting you know that the hem is going to be different. The hem is 1 1/4 inches. Okay, and then here you'll see the different sizes. These are different sizes of this particular garment. Of the packet, we got the packet for size 12 to 20. And you're essentially going to follow, each size corresponds to a different line, and you'll follow those lines to cut out the piece in your size. And you can just cut out, like if you're 12, just cut out 12, and you can forget about the rest of the sizes. You'll also see a few different markings here. So this marking is really important because it marks the grain line. This is essentially like, you want the pieces to follow the grain of your fabric. And this is important because the way that a fabric is woven can affect the way it wears, I guess. It's hard to explain, but some fabrics stretch in one direction and they don't stretch in the other direction. So for a sleeve, it's really important for you to have it stretch in this direction because it's going around your bicep, and you don't want it to stretch in this direction. So usually, not always, if you're using like a woven fabric and you stretch it this horizontally and stretch it vertically, like you try to tug it horizontally and tug it vertically, you will probably find a little bit, like a slight stretch in the horizontal and not a lot of stretch at all in the vertical. So that's an easy way of telling that the grain is the vertical direction of the fabric. A few other markings you're going to see are notches. Notches are really important because they help you match the piece with other pieces. And so you'll just clip these when you're cutting the pieces out. And so, for example, this notch simply matches with this notch. So you'll know when you fold the sleeve over that these two are going to be matching. And then these notches are going to match with the armhole. Like when you're sewing the sleeve to the bodice, these notches will help you match up the sleeve with those bodice pieces. These are just some extra markings. Like this is probably to represent ease, like where you should be putting ease into the sleeve. So these kind of circles will just represent like a variety of different things. And the sewing directions will tell you what specifically, to reference, like whether or not to reference these dots and what each of them means. And so those markings and that information is essentially going to be on every pattern piece. You're essentially going to cut out all the pieces that are necessary for your particular pattern. For your particular, the design that you want to sew. And then you'll cut it out the fabric and sew it together. I hope that video helps you get started on working with your first sewing pattern. If you would like some suggestions on sewing patterns for beginners, then check out my video on sewing patterns for beginners. You can follow me on Instagram at Designs by Asia and subscribe to my channel for more fashion, sewing, and design content. Thank you so much for watching.